Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's Chelsea. This should be my second video. This video should be about my convert story because I've always wanted to have like a concise way of how I converted to Islam. But while I was gone, I do want to talk about it. I'm gonna try to be more comfortable in this video because I do talk a lot in real life, I think, but in front of the camera I'm like a little shy, a little scared. While I was gone, I was actually doing a study abroad program in Morocco. Point of the program is to basically go to Morocco and learn Arabic. I have learned a little bit of Arabic. I basically speak like a kindergartner. That's like the best I can do. While I was there, I also bought a lot of clothes. This is one of the things I bought. I bought mostly like string niqabs. I have a collection at this point, but this is my only like, what do you call this? Like layered niqab, I guess. Like, you know, it's like a khimar. And I did want to talk a little bit about how I wear niqab on my YouTube channel because actually in real life I'm not a niqabi, not technically. When I go to school and inshallah if I get a job, I won't wear niqab in either of those places. I don't feel comfortable and I also don't think it's obligatory either. I just wear it because I see it as an extra worship. I think that it keeps my intentions pure, and I think that I'm less likely to publicly do sins while I know that I'm covered in this way. This is something I do online, and when I go to the masjid as well, I also cover my face because I think that is the place where you should have the highest level of modesty. I don't want to encourage other people to do things that are negative, so anything that helps with keeping my intentions like correct is something that I will try to do online, and one of those things to me is niqab. I think while I wear it, it's like a nice reminder. Why did I convert to Islam? So about 3 years ago, I decided to take my shahada and become Muslim. My family is Ghanaian, and so I grew up going to a Ghanaian church where everyone was Ghanaian. My childhood friends were also from this Ghanaian church. Everything was going okay. I did have a few ups and downs with the church. Like there are some toxic aspects of Ghanaian churches, or maybe just my Ghanaian church. Somewhere around my teenage years, like me and my mom stopped going. My dad still continues to go, and that's just because of basically family drama. But I don't use that as a reason for converting to Islam. It's very much an individual situation. So my convert story begins in the 10th grade world history class. Our teacher started talking about the rise of Islam. We watched a few documentaries and we got a few worksheets that were literally just like, oh, what are the pillars of Islam? Like read this text and, you know, fill in the blanks basically. And I'm sure they taught it because I'm from Michigan, the state of Michigan, and there's a large population of Muslims here. And I'm just gonna guess that it was in the curriculum because probably to like dispel any like Islamophobic ideas that children, you know, are raised with, because they're going to be soon living in a society, the real world, where there's lots of Muslims. This was good for me at the time because actually I didn't know anything about Muslims. I didn't have any Muslim, well, there were some Muslims at the school, but I just had never gotten in a conversation with them about religion. I didn't know anything about Islam. I thought Muslims were like polytheists. Literally, I thought like, oh, like they worship that big black box. I didn't think bad of them. And I also didn't believe most of the rhetoric of like, oh, Muslim women, they're like oppressed and this and that, because like I said, Michigan has such a high population of Muslims, so I still saw Muslims around. And I would see Muslim women like working, like my dentist was a Muslim woman. So I was like, okay, well, this can't be true because everything I've seen is like personally seen as contradicting this whole Muslim woman. They're not allowed to work and they're allowed to do this. But other than that, like the core belief of one God, I was actually kind of shocked when I learned it in class. Next step to my convert story was kind of unlearning all the stuff that I learned in Christianity. Obviously, this was a world history class. I mean, we had to move on to the next lesson. The reason I became, or the way I should say I became more knowledgeable about Islam is because I would go home and I would spend hours doing research. Like, I would watch so many of those like Islamic videos, the ones that span like 1 hour long, 40 minutes long, and I would just sit down and I was mesmerized. I just was watching so many of them. My YouTube history was just full of them. Before this, actually, it started out with literally watching TikToks. It was just silly things, but it would actually prompt me to do research after that of like, you know, what they really meant in the video. Pretty interesting how humor like kind of brought me to like studying more Islam. And it wasn't just humorous TikToks, there were also like actually thoughtful TikToks, like the one I'm probably gonna show you in the video now. This one addresses hijab. Hijab was not simply just something that stopped other men from sinning, you know? It was also something that protected women. It was also seen as a mercy to women, and it was something that protected women's, even their emotions and their insecurities from being broadcasted to the world. Let's say like 2 weeks before learning about Islam, I was kind of I was actually, you know, throughout my whole high school years stuttering, I was pretty insecure actually. Of course that's normal for like high schoolers to be insecure, but it got to the point where it was like teeter-tottering on the point of like, oh, I'm starting to really please people a lot. Especially that was the time where I was deciding like, maybe I'll experiment with some makeup a little and like try to make myself look prettier, because I felt like I was not really valued. I think Islam definitely for me at that time rewired that mindset and kind of made me think, why am I trying to please people who do not care about me instead of pleasing my creator? There is such a strong comfort in not having to show yourself to the world, not having to present yourself. I could keep myself private to the world, and to me that was way more empowering than ever fitting into the beauty standard that was given to me. Hijab was an eye-opening thing for me to learn about. Now back to Islam and converting. I had to study all the world religions because I was like, if someone's religion doesn't hold up against all the religions, then it cannot be the truth. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna study all the world religions. I studied Hinduism and Buddhism, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, and many more, but I only focused on the religions that had a lot of people, like a lot of followers, because I was like, okay, if there's gonna be an afterlife, whatever religion is the correct religion has to be the one where there's a lot of followers, because I don't believe that God is just going to send a vast majority of humanity to hell if they never got the message. During this time, I loved researching about how religions basically treated women, and of course I had to look back at my own religion, Christianity, because I didn't rule it out yet. I was like, this is my religion. At the time, I have to see if my religion holds up against the other religions, and Christianity just doesn't treat women the best. To me, I don't feel like it honored women as well as Islam did. When we would get to the teachings of covering, and I know this makes so many Christians angry because they associate covering with purity culture, and if you mention it, they basically act as if you shamed them, you know, that word, shamed them. Making excuses basically as to why they don't have to follow God's commandments. If you don't follow what's in the book, or you change what's in the book, then do you really believe what's in the book? And on the topic of the book, that book is a translation of a translation of a translation, of this author that decided to take things out and put things in. And I mean, like, I kind of felt at some point that if I die today, then I don't know if I'd be going the correct place. That was the biggest thing I think that was like iffy to me, because I had faith of God, and I could feel it in my like gut that I wasn't really sure that this book is credible, basically. It's when we entrust humans with saying what is moral and what is not. Something that was okay yesterday is not okay today. I am not going to put my morals in the hands of human beings who cannot decide what is okay and what is not okay. I don't believe truths change. So far, you can probably tell that I came to Islam from a very like knowledge point of view, and not some interesting, you know, like a jinn was attacking me, or no, like I was just like, this doesn't make sense. I'm gonna be Muslim now. And it all just kind of boils down to finding out a lot of things about Christianity and Pauline Christianity, that made me turn away. Another thing too is the concept of justice in Christianity. Islam, there's so many aspects of Islam that come to protect so many parts of our lives. But one thing about Islam is accountability. This accountability, to me, is not found in Christianity. Christians have this idea that basically, because they believe in Jesus Christ as their Lord, that they'll just basically get a free pass to heaven. Many Christians will probably tell you different things, you know, but you know, most Christians kind of just have this belief that like no matter how much you sin, no matter how much you do wrong, like you're still gonna make it to heaven, all because you believe in the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Astaghfirullah. If that's the case, then why do I have to listen to God at all? It doesn't matter what I do, because at the end of the day I can do anything and still end up going to heaven. And this accountability is not just for Christians, you know, Christians to their religion. It's also Christians to other Christians. When they tell another Christian that they're doing something sinful, that Christian feels like they're being attacked and that they shouldn't be judged, and there's just no accountability for anyone. As long as humanity doesn't deem whatever they're doing as sinful, then it's okay for them to keep doing it, and they won't register that thing as a sin because it's acceptable. Islam literally means submission, and I think that humans are very easy to influence. So it was very understandable to me that God brought a religion that meant submission. If you look at all the major religions, they have a lot of innovations now. And these innovations can sometimes lead humans to believe something that is completely different from the original idea, do things that are completely different from the original practice. So I think that humans needed submission, otherwise we would start worshiping idols again, honestly. And idols don't just have to be literal idols. Idols can be money. We can worship money, we can worship people, we can worship our things. I mean, there's so many things. We think that if we don't believe in God, that we're not worshiping anything. But whatever is motivating you every day is what you're worshiping. Now, I almost feel like it would be a waste of time to talk about not believing in the Trinity, because, I mean, come on. The all-powerful, all-encompassing God literally encompassed himself into a human being. He put himself in a human being. He is time, and yet he put himself in a human being, also killed himself, and then also said that this was justice, even though it's kind of injustice to not blame, but put all the sins of humanity onto one person. yeah, I mean, something has to give. I mean, even as a child, when I would pray, I wouldn't even bother to direct my prayer to both Jesus and God. Like, there's only really one person I need to communicate with. So basically, I was just finding a lot of holes in Christianity, both in the text and how it was approached in real life, its treatment of women, and just the accountability aspect. I was not, I didn't think it was a true religion at that point. And I left it, and let's just say like it was a day or two, and within that day I started to feel fear because back to death, I felt like if I died, well, now I'm not part of any religion, and I just felt like I had to convert to Islam soon because within this time I was still learning about Islam, and I eventually converted. I want to talk a little more about my journey of learning about Islam because I talked a lot about leaving Christianity. Islam to me just felt like a ending to all the Abrahamic religions. So basically, all the other religions, like Christianity, to me was not only tampered with but also incomplete. And so did Judaism, especially because I really feel like a lot of the practices are very outdated. So Islam felt to me like, okay, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the final prophet. That makes sense. And a lot of the rules in Islam are not just they're not just there to restrict us. Like, Islam comes to protect people from many angles. It doesn't just give us a way to be spiritual, but it also protects the society. It says don't commit zina or cheating because that destabilizes your family. It says, back to zina, it says don't do anything before marriage because you're putting yourself in a vulnerable position. It says give money to the poor because, of course, everything that we have is temporary and everything that we have is just given to us by God. So once he gives us something, we should give others. Makes sense that that would be one of the 5 pillars. It just seemed like Islam came to get rid of all sorts of degeneracy, and it also came to uplift the rank of women in a society that literally used to bury girls because they didn't find them valuable for the family. And that it also came to force humans to submit to something, to commit to something. And it also came to set things straight and correct what was tampered with in the past. And we really needed that because Christianity, to me, it could not have been the last religion. If that was the last religion, I'd be like, God, please give us a sign because this isn't enough. I mean, there needs to be more. We need more guidance. So yeah, I'm Muslim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ma'asalama.